I have to assume you've already watched this video. I have a few thoughts. While we chat, I'm going to strip and refletch one of my RIP XVs and put some boning alpha veins on there. And hopefully by the end of the video, prove my theory. I was excited to watch the video by James Yates. There was a fair amount of publicity behind it, and I think it gave some good information. If you watched it, you were probably doing exactly what I did, which was waiting to see how well my favorite vane did in his tests. I think there was a ton of great information shared. It's easy to see that James is passionate about this topic. He's an engineer by trade, so he likes to get into the nitty-gritty numbers on things. He also likes to hunt open country. He likes taking longer shots on critters. And so he was trying to figure out how to optimize his setup for that style of hunting. It's easy to see how he came to the conclusions that he did. Most of us are not hunting in those situations, though. In fact, the vast majority of bow hunters in America are in tree stands, hunting whitetails, not taking shots that are more than 20 or 30 yards. So everything that he shared, what does that mean to the average bow hunter? Throughout the course of his testing, Mr. Yates proved something I don't think he intended to. And that was the fact that the standard factory fletchings actually do a really good job. Most arrows come from the factory with this blazer style vane on it. They usually have little to no helical or offset. Yet in his test, they did an excellent job at correcting arrow flight. They're relatively low drag. The only downside is they are a tad noisier. But even in this configuration, it still outperformed a lot of the other vanes. So why would you go through the headache of fletching your own arrows when this one does so well? For me, it's all about controlling the process and the quality. Using a factory fletched arrow, you're stuck only cutting from one end. So if you spin these and realize you've got some wobble on this end, there's not much you can do about it. If you build your own arrows, you can cut from both ends and make sure you're getting the straightest part of the arrow. The actual secret behind good arrow flight is really basic. Basically, you need to have the mass forward of center, and you need to have most of the drag aft of center. So as long as there's more drag in the back than there is in the front, your arrow is going to fly fairly well. Depending on what's attached to the front dictates how much vane you need in the back. Field points obviously don't create a lot of drag, and you can get away with really small vanes. But as you move up to something like a mechanical that's got a little bit more wing on the front, you're going to need a little more drag in the back. If you move up to a really big broadhead like this one, then you're definitely going to need some more steerage. Now that we got those boning alpha vanes on here, let's go outside and see if I can demonstrate what I'm trying to do today. I've been shooting these RIP XVs out of this PSE. This is the XF33 at 60 pounds. Arrows are about 375 grains. It's shooting them out about 295 feet per second. And I've heard it over and over again that it's really hard to get fixed blade broadheads, especially big ones like this Crimson Talon Croc, to tune above 280 feet per second. I honestly haven't had too many issues. This thing shoots really nice groups out to 50 yards. I can shoot broadheads and field points, and it's all good. And I'm doing that with the stock blazer style vanes with very little helical on there. Now, the thing I have noticed, though, is that if there's a little bit of breeze or something that disrupts the arrow flight, the tail end of this arrow struggles. You can see it wobbling out there in flight, trying to maintain control of this big head. So, let's go demonstrate a little bit. As we can see with the field point, there's not a lot of drag up front, so it doesn't take a whole lot in the back to keep the arrows flying straight and flying clean. But add a big broadhead like this Crimson Talon, and suddenly these stock vanes don't seem to be doing the trick. We're seeing a little bit of tail wagging as the arrow flies. So if you run into this situation, how do you fix it? Well, there's a couple things we can do. First off, you can just add a bigger vane. So on this one, we put the boning alpha vane, and it's just a physically larger vane. I also added a little bit more helical to it. So not only is it bigger, but I exposed more of that to the airflow, causing it to spin a little faster. All of that adds a little bit more drag, thus creating a little bit more control at the rear of the arrow. Ultimately, I don't think it matters what vane you use, long as there's enough drag at the back of the arrow. You can either add more helical, you can add a bigger vane, or you can go to a 4-fletch. All of those things will give you better control if you're trying to shoot larger broadheads. Now, I personally use boning vanes because they're so simple. They don't require any extra prep. You don't have any of the pens or anything like that. You don't have to use a specific glue. Basically, all I do with arrows is I wipe them down and I slap on fletchings, and they stay stuck. That's the biggest thing. They're a good material, they're solid, and I guarantee if I grabbed a pair of pliers out of my drawer, I wouldn't be able to pull any of these off because they just stick so well. So if you're running into some issues, if you're noticing some problems in your arrow flight, this might be the solution. Maybe you need a little bit more control, a little bit more drag at the back of your arrow.